Hi, and welcome to Stockton University's new student orientation online orientation session. We are going to today talk about a presentation called Respect Your Nest that covers Stockton University's community standards and values. So just to kick us off, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Candace Mitchell. I use the pronoun she, her, hers, and my position at Stockton is the coordinator for student transition programs. Student transition programs is the office that plans your orientation program, the welcome week programs, many academic year events, and we house the Talons student leadership position. Uh, I have my master's degree from Misericordia University as well as my undergraduate degree from Centenary College in New Jersey. And a fun fact about me is that I actually have worked here at Stockton for about 6 years now. I used to work in the Office of Residential Life before shifting over to the Office of Student Transition Programs. So really something that we want to be able to emphasize in terms of your transition over to Stockton University is that you are joining a community. And when it comes to being a community member, there are a lot of things that we want to be able to reinforce for you and make sure that you understand so that you're able to really make the most of your time here in this environment. So you're joining a community where there is strength in our diversity. I'm going to show you a brief video to be able to help exemplify that.
Belonging means to me togetherness,
Acceptance.
existing.
Empowerment. Comfortable.
Acceptance.
What it feels like to belong at Stockton is to be a part of something bigger than yourself.
Belonging means empowerment. To me, empowerment is what I get when I'm with the group that's greater than me.
Belonging feels so amazing. It feels to be freeing. Coming into Stockton, there are a lot of opportunities and a lot of clubs. Stockton has a lot of multicultural clubs, especially for you to express who you are.
The sense of belonging in different communities and organizations, especially on campus, gives people the confidence to be successful, and it also helps divert them to the specific track they want to do in life.
Belonging at Stockton and feeling acceptance goes hand in hand when you're trying to find a place where you feel comfortable. So being comfortable and creating a third space or like a home for yourself in a place that is not your home at all is all part of the college experience.
Just because society says you have to be a certain way, it doesn't mean you have to be that way. So when you can relate to people who fit outside of society's standards as you do, you can exist, which means that you belong.
I looked at Military Times has a 100 best for vets schools, and in 2016, Stockton was sixth in the nation. So for me, when I saw that, I was like, they must be doing something right by their vets, and for me, that just spoke volumes about the rest of the institution.
I honestly enjoyed my first year as an RA. I think my staff was amazing, and I think we really embodied togetherness, and it really made me feel like everything was organic, and no one was pressuring me to not be myself or to get along with everybody else, which was amazing.
When I first got on campus, I was scared. I was looking around. There's a bunch of new faces, no one I recognized. No people from my high school came here, so I just didn't know who to talk to or what. I put up a bravado, but on the inside I was still scared.
The first memories I have of finding that space was during, I think it was Welcome Week. There was an initiative that had just started. From my understanding, it was just recently kind of taking off, and it was called Sankofa. And through that, coming on the campus, linking up with higher administration, faculty, staff, before even stepping into a classroom, I think that really played a very large part into me just feeling comfortable on campus.
I'm glad that coming into Stockton, there's not just Filipinos, but there's different types of Asians and different types of cultures that I'm able to experience.
When I joined Pride Alliance, they really helped me be able to express my sexuality freely and openly and safely.
For UBSS specifically, when you come to Stockton, there's one thing you will notice. It's a predominantly white institution. So when UBSS was first created, it was created because there was only one organization, and the black students here felt like they needed their space of their own. So they stepped out and started to make UBSS. So I feel like that's the same narrative for me, where like I was only subject to people on my floor, and of course, if you're at a PWI, you're one of the only black people on your floor. So I just had to find a space where I saw people who were like me, shared the same experience as me, and then I found UBSF, and then I just grown into the president of UBSF.
Coming into graduate school, I was extremely nervous. I didn't know what I was going to do or if people were honestly going to like me. And that's something that I really struggled with. And honestly, on the first day of school, they asked us to try out for different positions. And I felt a sense of belonging because everyone picked me to be the New Jersey representative for the Occupational Therapy Association. And that was amazing because now, as a second year in my final year of graduate school, I am still in that position, and now I can help the first years become a part of that as well. And that would have never happened if my belongingness and my togetherness didn't come from my occupational therapy program.
I would tell those people that you have to venture out and you have to join clubs and get involved on campus, because the more you get involved, the more you attract people, and then those people will be able to get to know you on a personal level, and they will support you and they will want to be around you.
So I just tell them, look for things that you can get free food at. And everywhere, every single event on campus, you can usually find free food. And that's one way of like pushing people to go out and like try different things.
Not that it's hard to find these spaces. I don't think it's a hard thing to do, but I think once you get involved and you network with people that identify with however you identify, it just makes it that much easier and kind of stay open-minded. You know, there might be people that identify as you that don't look like you, don't speak like you, don't come from where you're from, but you know, that doesn't change that they identify how you identify.
So as long as you know who you are, or even if you don't know who you are, just get involved in things, and those things will find you instead of you finding them.
The first step you take out of your comfort zone, the first step you take out of your dorm room, the first step you take out of just hiding yourself and closing yourself off will be the first step to your success here at Stockton.
You belong 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 at Stockton. You belong at Stockton. Period.
On behalf of the mission,
We know you belong here
You belong in Africana Studies,
at the Counseling Center,
The Women's Gender and Sexuality Center.
you belong in our EOF programs,
in the First Ospreys Initiative,
in career education and development,
You belong in Student Success Services,
in service learning,
in the School of Arts and Humanities.
in military and veteran services,
You belong in residential life.
Galloway, and AC.
in fraternity and sorority life.
In student development.
You belong at Stockton University, where everywhere on our campus, there's a space for you to be, believe, and belong.
All right, thank you for taking a moment to be able to watch that video with us. So I hope that that really reinforces for you that our goal here at Stockton is to make sure that there is a safe place for everyone here. We want to make sure that you find, your home and your new Stockton family when you get here. And I think part of the conversation that winds up going hand in hand with that is then being able to acknowledge how we also work to try and protect our students. And so we want to make sure that we're creating a positive environment that respects all of our students. And so the flip side of that is making sure that it is understood that bias is not welcome here at Stockton University. We have an Office of Diversity and Inclusion, and they work closely together with campus police and student affairs to be able to provide leadership and oversight to our bias prevention, education, and review program. So they've worked to really provide direction on defining, understanding, identifying, and reporting bias-related incidents and/or hate crimes. So we define those bias incidents as incidents that target people because of what they look like, where they come from, how they worship, and who they love. And so the university does not condone such incidents or behavior and will respond to those reports utilizing our code of conduct and our non-discrimination policies as appropriate. So if for some reason you ever find yourself in a situation or witnessing a situation where you believe bias is at play, we do have multiple reporting structures for you to be able to reach out to the university about it. It can be reported to Stockton Police Department via their crime tip line, or by submitting an incident report on the Bias Prevention, Education, and Review Team's webpage of stockton.edu. You can always be able to contact Stockton Police Department 24/7. They're a fully functional police department, fully sworn officers. On the flip side of that, then, we just really want to emphasize that getting involved is easy here. Coming to a new institution, whether you are a transfer student or a first-year student, it can be pretty awkward. You're in a crowd of people suddenly that you don't know. You're in a new environment that you've never been before. Perhaps this is your first time living independently from your family. But our institution has over 175 active clubs and organizations, and they have over 25 fraternities and sororities under our Greek Life umbrella. So you can even make your own organization. Let's say you have a passion for bass fishing. If there is not a club that already seems to encompass that passion that you have and that hobby that you have, you can reach out to the Office of Student Development and create a club and really attract others with the same passion to be able to find you. So I always encourage students to be able to reach out and put themselves out there to get involved. There are studies that show that participation in co-curricular activities such as clubs and organizations have a positive correlation to the students' attendance, their GPA, their test scores, and their expected educational goals, including graduating. So I always want to be able to reinforce, please, please, please take the time. It might be a little uncomfortable at first, but introduce yourself to a new person. Make sure that you come out to all the Welcome Week events. Go attend some events where you can dip your toes in the other clubs and organizations that are on campus. Some really great ways to do that are to attend the Get Involved Fair that happens at the beginning of every semester. So those dates will be soon released. Attending the Day of Service, that also happens on every semester. For the fall 2021 semester, that's scheduled for Saturday, September 11th. I always recommend both you and your family marking off University Weekend, October 7th through 10th, 2021. University Weekend is a major event here on campus where often many families and friends of our students, both new students and our returning students, will come to campus, attend many different events. We've got a lot of fun things that take place during then. It's really kind of Stockton's version of a homecoming weekend, if you will. And then Meet the Greeks is often the same week as the Get Involved Fair, and that's an opportunity to really kind of learn more about Greek life on campus and get introduced to the different organizations that are available in case you want to look into joining them. When it comes to joining these clubs and organizations, going to things like the Get Involved Fair and taking the time to be able to sign up for these clubs on Osprey Hub, which is our website online that you can browse various clubs and organizations and you can join them. Just because you attend one meeting for a group does not mean that it's going to click for you. So you can feel free to try joining different clubs and organizations throughout the semester until you find the one that feels right for you. When it comes to the college experience, there's often a misconception that as a new student, and especially as a first-year student, everyone around you must be consuming alcohol in order to have a good time. There's a lot of peer pressure that can sometimes come along with that. And so something that we really want to reinforce is that alcohol is not necessary to have a memorable Stockton experience. We surveyed our students in 2019. Our incoming student population took a survey, and they were asked what protective behaviors they would employ when drinking. And of the over 1,000 respondents, 89% chose that they would simply choose to not drink alcohol at all. And so I think that really kind of exemplifies the fact that there is not really that level of peer pressure that some people think that exists in a large scale here. That, you know, these students who answered the survey could have chosen any protective behaviors that they would employ, and they said, hey, actually, I would simply just choose not to drink. So I think it's really important to be able to enforce that, you know, if you do choose to consume alcohol, that you're sure to be familiar with Stockton's alcohol and drug policies. You can find those policies in the online student handbook and the guide to residential life. So both can be found on our stockton.edu website. Our university alcohol and drug education program does provide confidential counseling, assessment, and referral services for students. So if there are students who feel like they might be working through a relationship with alcohol, with addiction, problem drinking, we do have resources to be able to support you at this institution. And of course, we encourage that you only consume alcohol if you are 21 years or older. In addition to that, this past year, New Jersey voters had voted to legalize marijuana in the state of New Jersey. But we do need to be able to clarify that marijuana is not permitted for on-campus usage. Stockton remains subject to Federal Controlled Substances Act, and that clarifies marijuana as a Schedule I drug. And so because of that classification, Stockton's prohibited from allowing any form of marijuana use, whether that be use, possession, distribution, or sale of marijuana, and that includes medical marijuana. That is prohibited on campus property or at any university-sponsored events on or off campus. So here at Stockton, safety is everyone's responsibility. We have a real community atmosphere to it, and that's something that we really like to reinforce, that as a community member at Stockton, we want to make sure that we're prioritizing keeping everyone physically, mentally, every kind of way that we can promote that safety so that we have a positive learning environment. To be able to support that goal, we do have a Stockton University Police Department. So campus safety and the police are here to be able to help. They are dedicated to developing partnerships with the community where they serve, including students, staff, and faculty. They want to enhance the goal of providing quality higher education in a safe and secure atmosphere. So there are two Stockton University Police Department stations. One is located on the Galloway campus, kind of across from where the Housing 4 housing complex is. And the other is located on the Atlantic City campus, and that is located in the Atlantic City residential building. So both of those stations are open 24/7, and there are always officers that are on shift 24/7 on both campuses. The officers of Stockton University are fully sworn police officers, and one of the most famous in this photo is our newest canine, who is an explosives detecting canine named Freya. When it comes to the Stockton University community, acquiring consent is an expectation. Consent is a voluntary, conscious, and mutual agreement to engage in sexual activity. Only yes is consent. Consent is not silence. It's not flirting, being in a relationship. It is not assumed because of previous sexual activity. It is not being intoxicated, being too intoxicated to say no. It is not dressing sexy. It's not being passed out or underage. It is not being afraid to say no. Kissing, going into a bedroom, a maybe, a no. Only yes is consent. And so sexual activity without consent is sexual assault. Stockton has a victim advocacy center that is here to support and confidentially discuss options with anyone who has been a victim of power-based personal violence. So I just want to be able to reinforce that we do have offices here and aspects in place that are ready to support our students, including that Victim Advocacy Center through the Women's Gender and Sexuality Center, as well as a couple other offices on campus that we will touch on later. So hand in hand with that idea, we want to be able to acknowledge Title IX. So Stockton University prohibits sex discrimination, sexual and gender-based harassment, and acts of sexual violence. And so sexual orientation or gender identity of the parties does not change Stockton's obligation to investigate and resolve allegations. If an incident occurs for some reason, you can be able to report that incident immediately to Stockton University. You can call a hotline number that's listed on this slide. You can speak to an advocate. You can file an incident report online, and you can get in contact with the Women's Gender and Sexuality Center to be able to report confidentially if you so wish. For more information regarding Title IX and reporting, please search Title IX in stockton.edu search bar. Any discrimination that's not covered by Title IX is still addressed through the discrimination policy and procedures that are accessible on Stockton's website. You're joining a community where mental health is important, especially after this past year in a pandemic. It's been a really rough time for many of our community members. So we do have a counseling center, and their primary mission is to really strengthen student learning by minimizing interruption of that learning process that's caused by mental health concerns. They provide free short-term confidential counseling to Stockton students. They offer crisis intervention and crisis counseling, presentation services, professional consultations, and graduate training. They are often seen partnering with some of our campus organizations that are focused on mental health and suicide prevention, which is really wonderful. And then there's also the Women's Gender and Sexuality Center that offers supportive counseling for the LGBTQ+ community and victims of violence. If you are someone who is interested in being able to really focus on your mental health, but you either don't want to go schedule a live appointment with a counselor, or you want to be able to try and have something to help complement the experience of meetings with counselors, you can take advantage of therapy assistance online. TAO is an interactive web-based program that provides guided activities to help overcome anxiety, depression, and many other common concerns. So it really allows you to get effective treatment when your schedule or life makes it hard to get to the counseling center. That is something that is also free to you as a Stockton University student. All you need to do is go onto our Stockton webpage, type in that therapy assistance online, or go to the Counseling Center's webpage, and you'll be able to log in and create an account using your Stockton credentials. When it comes to being part of the Stockton community, we want to make sure that we support each other. We are aware of the fact that there are students who deal with food insecurities while they're here. And so something that got developed is the food assistance program to be able to help support that community of students. We've had several hundred students participate in it, and that includes our food pantry. There are 2 locations for the food pantry. One is in Galloway from Monday through Friday, and the other is in Atlantic City from Monday through Friday. Those food pantries are available to any student who needs to be able to utilize it. All you have to do is sign up using an electric application on the Dean of Students website. That is something that if you enter Stockton experiencing food security, you can sign up for it right away. Or it's important to know, in case, a couple years down the line, if you find yourself in a situation where you are now experiencing food insecurity when maybe you didn't when you started here, you do not have a time frame that you need to sign up in. You can sign up at any point during your Stockton career. They offer meats, veggies, poultry, pasta, canned foods, a whole lifelong list of items. They're currently working on expanding to include some more cultural foods. And when it comes to the food assistance program, they do accept donations, especially of non-perishable food items. If you're someone who's interested in being able to donate to that, feel free to bring your donations to that Dean of Students office or to the food pantry directly. And you can even donate through Amazon, where they have wish list items that are available if you would like to order them and have them shipped directly to the food pantry for our students who are experiencing that food insecurity. So what comes next? After experiencing your online orientation sessions, there are some items that you have on your to-do list that you need to focus on. The first is to be able to complete your 3 Safe College courses. all incoming students, so whether you are a first-year student, a transfer student, if you are going to be a commuter or residential, all incoming students need to complete the 3 courses. One is on alcohol and other drugs, one is on sexual violence prevention, and the third is on diversity awareness. So we do have access to those courses open now, and the Stockton email address that you have should have received an email letting you know the login information and how to be able to access those. Those courses are live now and must be completed by September 10th, 2021. If you have any questions or concerns regarding those 3 courses, I do have the contact information for Christine Fiel on this slide for you. And outside of completing those 3 courses after your orientation day here, the next thing to really look forward to is Welcome Week. The dates and details for Welcome Week are forthcoming, but it is really a fun-filled kind of couple of days where it is for all students, both for first-year students and transfer students. And really it's filled with some social opportunities, some educational opportunities. It does have some mandatory sessions built into it, but it's an amazing opportunity to really connect with your peers, get comfortable on Stockton's campus, and have a really great start to your first semester here. If you wind up having any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to the Office of Student Transition Programs. We're happy to support you. We've got a website available, as well as an email, studenttransitions@stockton.edu. Thank you very much.